Live from the Lavaredo Ultra Trail. This is Sportiva Radio.
Let's celebrate the king of La Sportiva Radio played by UTMB.
Grande! Bravissimo, grande!
World champion, Martina!
And there you have it, Ben Demon wrapped in the finish line tape, taking his congratulations after setting a record.
Yeah, what a win for Ben, and well under the record as well. To come in under that 12-hour mark is a very special achievement. I think Hannes Nahnberger was the first one to do it a few years ago, but there's not many people that have broken that mark. So yeah, big congrats to Ben, and a big welcome to our next guest, Daniele Milano.
Absolutely.
Nice to have you here.
Benvenuti, grazie per venire.
Grazie ragazzi.
Oh, look, yeah, but let's do we have time to recap that?
I think really quickly we can take a quick moment.
So Ben Demon has arrived to us, and the second place finisher.
And I'm hearing
is
a
just
roar
coming past
building.
Our box right now, and it is Raul Butacci. Butacci or Butacchi? Butacci. Maybe Daniele can help us.
Help us out with the pronunciations, exactly.
We'll call him Butacci. From Romania, fantastic second place. He's just arrived
Super
across
strong
the
second
line.
half of the race.
Yeah, and we still expect Andreas Reiter, Team La Sportiva, to come in third place with a gap back to fourth, about 3 or 4 minutes as we have it here. And on the women's side, Courtney still out in front. The gap is actually reducing a little bit from what I can see to the second place. We've got Alicia in second place, also from USA. But Courtney is pretty close to the last high point of the race, and she's ready to start her downhill run into the finish. So Courtney DeWalter out in front, Alicia Clark in second place, and rounding out the podium at the moment, Marina Cugneto. So yeah, exciting stuff here in the finish line. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of clapping, a lot of banging on the sides there. A lot of excitement, and it's cool to see how the public really kind of get inside the action as well, isn't it?
It's a big day here. I mean, it is the finish of the 120 here in Cortina. I think people look forward to this day for 364 in between, so you can feel it.
Yeah, well, let's hear from Daniele, a journalist, sports journalist, and maybe he has some first comments about the race that he's been involved with here over the weekend. So Daniele, grazie per la tua presenza qua con la Sportiva Radio. Come hai visto la gara oggi?
Allora, non l'ho mai vista così bene, perché innanzitutto grazie a voi, perché qua essere come il balcone di casa all'arrivo di una delle gare più prestigiose al mondo, a Cortina in Italia, che l'anno prossimo, quest'inverno, avrà anche le Olimpiadi. Allora, io ho seguito un po' la 20, un po' la 50, grazie alla Sportiva abbiamo seguito anche la partenza della 120 e alcune fasi di gara intermedie dopo i 70 km. È entusiasmante perché si riesce veramente ad entrare nella pancia della gara, non vedi soltanto gli atleti performer quando corrono, vedi quando si fermano, vedi nelle aid station, nei punti vita, quando si fermano, riposano un attimo, strategie di gara, perché ieri abbiamo parlato con Andrea Rostan che ha vinto la 20K e con Nadir Maghé che ha fatto secondo, e mi hanno raccontato della strategia di gara. Io dico, ma 20 km, 1 ora e 28, 1000 metri di dislivello, è tutta miccia, è tutta energia? No, anche lì c'è una strategia. Quindi avere la possibilità di seguire una gara dal vivo così Intanto impari tantissime cose, quindi me ne torno a Milano con un grande bagaglio di cultura sportiva in più, e questo anche grazie a voi, ma soprattutto ti entra dentro l'anima. Io parlando col pubblico in questi giorni, un sacco di gente che faceva la clac, gli applausi insieme a me quando arrivavano gli atleti al traguardo, sentivi l'anno prossimo magari ci provo. E qui a Cortina so provare perché c'è una gara da 10 km, ce n'è una da 20, una da 50, una da 80, e poi ovviamente la regina che ha appena vinto ben adesso con il nuovo record da 120 km.
Look at that, just coming past our box right at this very second. Andreas Reiter rounds out the podium in third place. So that's our men's podium. Fantastic to see them running right past us here in the studio.
Jono, you're just killing it with play-by-play and color commentary. Like Renaissance man can do it all.
Exactly. But Daniele, great to hear Daniele's comments there. To see a race like this live and to see the action and to have the chance to go out there on the track, to see them at the aid stations and to see the strategy. And he talked about even the strategy on the 20 kilometer. How Daniele...
he's thinking it's only an hour and a half. This is just a sprint up and back, but instead there's also strategy, tactics going on there. I mean, it's a chess match.
Exactly. It's not... Yeah, you can't just put all your energy out like from the beginning to the end. So Andrea Rostan was telling Daniele just about the strategy in the 20 kilometer race. 1,000 meters up and down, but still you have to manage. You have to manage the race. You have to strategize with the other competitors around you. So there's a lot of mental side involved, and great to hear Daniele out on the course in all of the distances, 20, 50, 120k, and
just kind of echoing that he's also hearing from the spectators, from the participants, just the passion, and then that passion turning into voices saying, maybe I'm going to do this race. And there's a race for everybody. There's 10 kilometers, there's 20, there's 50, there's 80, there's 120. And you just hear, well, maybe I'm going to do this next year. And that's the feeling I think that I've gotten the whole entire time. You've expressed, it's kind of pulsing throughout the streets here.
Yeah, and it's so nice to hear that and to see that people are fascinated and really have you can really feel the passion and motivation coming through. But
I kind of would like to ask Daniele, like just basically how he got into covering the sport of ultra running, like where he came from, his perspective. Daniele, di dove sei? Like, come
è una storia lunghissima, non basterebbe una radio per raccontarla tutta.
Stai correndo, stai sciando?
Io corro, scio, sono maestro di snowboard, sono direttore editoriale di For Running Magazine. Diciamo che parlando oggi con Anton, che siamo andati a correre insieme questa mattina, che è stato anche quello un regalo pazzesco, perché Anton, l'uomo di Boulder, ha sempre veramente tanto da raccontare a noi giornalisti o a chiunque lo incontri, perché è molto sociale e socievole, c'è una gran persona. E il fatto di vivere l'outdoor, poi non importa come lo vivi. Se tu puoi andare in bicicletta, pedala, se corri, se vivi in una città, corri nella tua città. Non farti fagocitare dal posto in cui vivi, ma rendilo vivo, capisci? E questo è quello che ho sempre cercato di mantenere nei posti in cui ho vissuto, perché io ho fatto più di 20 anni, Cervigna, ai piedi del Monte Cervino, il grande record di Kilian. Nadir sta cercando di batterlo, a soli 5 minuti gli auguro di riuscirci quest'estate. Però è veramente questo, cioè mantenere lo spirito di voler star fuori. Quindi quello di cui si parlava anche prima, cioè poter stare in montagna. Certo, siamo a Cortina da un pezzo, è un posto pazzesco, però bisogna imparare anche a godere di cose più piccole, cioè approfittare che se puoi fare sport è già una gran cosa.
That's great to hear. So La Sportiva has organized a morning run for people and for journalists out on the course at Cimabanque this morning. It was an early start for them, so they were out before 5 o'clock, going up there to get in position to cheer the runners coming through. And Daniele just mentioned about Anton Krupicka, La Sportiva athlete from many years, and just the way that he is, he's so open and honest about what he does, and it's not about being a runner. It's about just living in the mountains, living the life of a
sharing the social experience of being
and it
outdoors.
Doesn't matter if you run, doesn't matter if you climb. It's just being in the outdoors, and that's.
E io credo che questa mattina l'ho capito una volta in più, che persone come Anton, al di là di quello che fanno nella vita, hanno la capacità di trasmettere, veramente di influenzare, ma non pensiamo all'influencer di Instagram, che riesce veramente a influenzare i popoli. Cioè, quando sono stato a Boulder 3 anni fa, chiacchierando con un ragazzo, un barista al bar, mi ha detto: tanta gente adesso va in bicicletta perché Anton ha iniziato ad andare in bicicletta, perché per fare climbing, per fare running, eccetera, scrambling,
esatto.
Spesso la bicicletta era il mezzo più comodo per arrivare, perché non tutti avevano la Jeep. E Anton ha influenzato un popolo, cioè stiamo parlando di Boulder, una cittadina con 30.000 studenti universitari, poi c'è la popolazione.
Vero.
E poter parlare con persone così per me è una gran fortuna.
Yeah, that's so cool.
He was just explaining or talking about how Anton is not an influencer in the social media definition of the world we have right now, but he does greatly influence the people that are around him with the passion and the authenticity that he kind of brings to all of the different sports that he likes to participate in, not just the running, but also the cycling, mountain biking, scrambling, and just that love and joy of being outdoors and moving your body and using your body.
Yeah, influencing like a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice, isn't it? Yeah.
Nella prima intervista che ho fatto, io mi ricordo benissimo che avevo scritto Anton Krupicka, ispiratore di una cultura.
Yes.
Perché noi pensiamo allo sport come qualcosa di fisico. Non è soltanto fisico lo sport è veramente cultura. Se tu sei un buono sportivo, indipendentemente dal livello, tu sei un miglior essere umano. Ed è questo che a me piace trasmettere, comunicare questo. Cioè, dopo una corsa la mattina, o anche un giro in bicicletta, una passeggiata col tuo cane, tu inizi a lavorare meglio. Se poi vuoi farlo la sera è la stessa cosa, vai a dormire meglio.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Influencing the culture, that's what it's about. And as Daniele says, it's not about going out running for all day in the mountains. It might be just going out having a jog with the dog, or just getting out and just starting like that. You feel better, and it influences your life. It has an impact on your life, and you sleep better at the end of the day as well. So I really like those words. That it's something that's reachable for anybody.
Talking about influential, I think if we have a moment, could we take a look at what's going out on the trail message with the women's race? Do we have? Sorry, guys. Do we have? I saw that we had some new live updates coming from the trail with Courtney.
Let's see what's happening with Courtney. And,
exactly.
Someone said she was looking a little bit tired out there, but I think that's understandable.
Was that someone new?
Yeah, that sounds strange to us. But she's coming through now. Let's go right there. Wow, that's so cool. Two things I love about that: just the supporters out there cheering her on, and the way Courtney always has a smile.
Smile on her face. That was exactly what I was going to point out. Just a big smile on her face as she's trucking through.
Exactly. Courtney ha sempre un gran sorriso quando sta correndo, ma anche lei, Killian, sono grandi influenze del nostro mondo, nostro culturo.
Sono persone che riescono a pensare positivo anche quando soffrono, perché tu per esempio pensa a Courtney, quanto ha parlato nell'ultimo anno della sua incredibile Pain Cave, no? E comunque questo antro, no, in cui lei si trova a dover veramente soffrire, ma quindi spiega alla gente che per vincere devi anche soffrire, poi si riprende. Ti dico onestamente, adesso che l'ho vista, siamo vicini al traguardo anche per lei, rispetto al 70° chilometro questa mattina alle 5, quando l'abbiamo incontrata, alle 6:30 l'abbiamo incontrata, è più riposata adesso, e sono convinto che se si va a chiedere al traguardo ti dirà: sì, ha avuto un attimo di crisi, poi mi sono ripreso. E questa è anche un po' una parabola della vita. Hai capito? Ci sono dei momenti in cui tu sei un po' nella M, che non si può dire in radio, e poi torni su. Devi avere la forza e la luce, chi ti aiuta, eccetera. E in gara è così, perché comunque il trail, quello che a me piace del movimento trail running è che c'è molta collaborazione. Se uno si ferma, l'altro prima di passarti ti dà una pacca sulla spalla così, everything is alright? Ok, sure? Ok, vado.
Yeah, that's so true.
E questo è
lo spirito di comunità.
assolutamente, è una grande community.
Ma informa
certo,
la cultura informa lo
ma
sport.
perché è una community che è nata spontaneamente.
Ma
Cioè,
tu hai visto il nato di snowboarding
certo.
un anno fa e poi hai anche visto sport climbing crescere, esplodere, specialmente qui in Italia.
Assolutamente sì.
Hai visto una similarità di
Allora ti dico,
running e queste cose?
tanto non parliamo di trail, parliamo un po' di arrampicata sportiva, di climbing, di falesia, indoor, outdoor, quello che vuoi tu. Io sto seguendo, grazie a mio figlio, questo ambiente dopo 30 anni che non lo frequentavo più. E ti devo dire che vedo veramente una grande fratellanza. Ho seguito un paio di gare, ti danno, cioè se tu non riesci a fare un passaggio, hai l'altro che l'ha appena fatto il passaggio, che ti dice che cosa fare per chiudere anche tu. È la stessa cosa nello snowboard di un trick. Non riuscivi a chiudere un trick, ti dicono cosa fare. Poi magari in gara è un po' diverso, ma comunque in questa parte intermedia, magari gare a livello sociale, non gare agonistica ad altissimo livello, c'è forza della comunità, e secondo me è questo che rende grande uno sport. Perché tu quando sei qua a Cortina, io qua mi sento parte di un gruppo e ho fatto una gara di 10 km, che confronto vuoi che faccia con chi ha fatto 120 km ed è partito ieri sera alle 11 dallo splendido Corso Italia di Cortina col sorriso a 32 denti come Courtney, ok? Perché fai parte di qualcosa che chissà di arrivare al traguardo dopo la partenza di una 120, ma nessuno. Neanche nelle maratone spesso è così, che sono più corte. Però faccio parte di qualcosa, di un movimento, mi sento bene. Torno a casa a Milano pieno di voglia di lavorare. Grazie.
Yeah, so Daniele says he already knows he's gonna come home with a huge bag full of emotions and a lot of motivation, I know. But yeah, so cool to hear just about the community and it's in other sports as well, especially outdoor sports, and just the way other competitors are prepared to help one another. Like when there is a hard moment, as Daniele was saying, he really saw that around 5 or 6 o'clock this morning, 6 o'clock coming through one of the aid stations, that Courtney looked a little down. But then looking at the videos here, he did comment and said, look, she looks much better now. So looks like she's gone through some of those hard times. Like
full cycle.
She's gone into her pain cave and she's come out the other side. So Courtney will make the comment about chiseling away and just one step at a time and keeping things simple as well. And yeah, she is looking really strong now. She's coming. She's up on the high point of the course. She's now into the downhill, and she won't be far off from coming through here in Corso Italia and coming through the finish tape. So looking forward to that, aren't we, Walter?
Oh, absolutely! It's going to be an exciting moment here.
Well, let's delve into maybe something a little bit more around the evolution of the sport of trail running in general. So Daniele, come ha già raccontato, ma più per la parte della corsa lungo su trail. Ti vedi prossimo step, prossima evoluzione? Perché adesso abbiamo una bomba di popolarità, sì. C'è la voglia di partecipare per queste gare lunghe, ma ti vedi un prossimo fascino? Sì, e ti dico anche perché comunque il trail è qualcosa che ha un grande fascino, perché comunque tutto quel mondo del movimento outdoor piace facilmente, cioè magari correre su una strada asfaltata in città col caldo non è come correre in montagna in mezzo a un bosco con le belle montagne attorno. Cortina è un esempio, giochiamo facile con Cortina, non tutte le montagne sono così, però ce ne sono molte belle e diciamo che quello che io vedo il futuro è che comunque si capisce subito che se vuoi far bene, se vuoi performare anche con modestia, devi essere seguito, devi cominciare a seguire un'alimentazione corretta, devi allenarti con la testa, che non vuol dire soltanto
vai finché puoi col fisico e poi vai oltre con la testa, non in quel senso, ma è proprio un rapporto, una bilancia che hai tra mentale e fisico. Quando entri un po' in quella ruota infernale, ma ironicamente lo dico, fai uno step, un upgrade, no? Sali su un gradino più alto, rimani un runner amatoriale che lo fa per passione, però cominci a capire che anche con la passione devi giocare da professionista. Ok, quindi cominci a entrare in quel circolo vizioso del preparatore, eccetera. Secondo me è fondamentale. Fondamentale. Il futuro dello sport è quando è preciso.
Exactly.
Poi ti puoi divertire nei boschi, fare quello che vuoi. Però se hai una base certa, vai avanti dove vuoi, non anneghi.
Yeah, super interesting. How the next step, the next evolution is probably going to be things like how to manage yourself, how to be more efficient with your training, how to be a little bit more scientific. But as so many people are here, amateur runners, and have to balance life, work, life, family together with training for these long races. Not just for the elite runners, for every runner.
Daniele was kind of talking about the combination of, yes, there's the physical training, but there's also that mental aspect, the mental training.
We've heard that a lot there.
In fact, it's a reoccurring theme, exactly, and I think it has to do also with the pain cave as well, you know, literally in the sport, but you can then take that into your life, because sometimes there's the pain cave on a Tuesday afternoon at the end of the workday as well, or with your kids, or with school, all those kinds of things, and that mental training. It informs both of it and can be useful in the world of sport, but also.
And you learn a bit about discipline and being able to manage your program and your schedule, and because you have to be efficient. You can't have any kind of wasted time, and you also have to respect your body and let your body recover after.
But it sounded like Daniele was saying that, like, the word in the next episode is precision.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
It's going to be precision
precise.
in training, precision with your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, and people want to do the next thing, and maybe want to run another event, and maybe go from the 50 kilometer to the 80 kilometer. And the way to do that is to be more efficient and to be smarter. And obviously, your coaches as well. A lot of experience out there. Why not use the experience of others to avoid mistakes? Ma tu hai fatto qualche errore durante la tua vita sportiva?
Errori ne facciamo tutti, ne ho fatti tanti, ma non parlo oggi dei miei errori. Sì, comunque, ecco, dagli errori, dalle cose che sono andate male, sicuramente si può sempre imparare, perché se tu comunque, cioè, l'errore è uno step che tu fai, cioè ogni tanto gli scalini, la scala della vita, hai gli scalini, hai l'alzata e hai la spianata, insomma, dove la pedata, dove tu metti il piede. Ogni tanto sbagli a mettere il piede e cozzi con la punta delle dita, e per fare una metafora del trail ti viene un'unghia nera. Però anche con un'unghia nera si può continuare a correre, magari ti fermi qualche giorno, poi riparti. E però ricordati che quando hai preso l'unghia nera stavi salendo, non stavi andando giù, perché hai sbattuto perché stavi facendo un altro gradino. E questo secondo me è la base di partenza. Guardare indietro è importante, guardare solo indietro è un disastro, non serve a nessuno.
Exactly, and to learn, and it brings something else in my mind as well, that a lot of the elite runners, they change their shoes during the race, like in 120k, and they'll often have a pair of shoes which is a half size or even a full size bigger for the second part of the race, knowing that their feet are swelling a little bit, and they just need that extra space and comfort in their shoe for the second part of the race. So it's about learning and being smarter. So those sorts of things, nobody really even thought about 20 years ago, I would say. So the evolution and the thinking about and the management and the program is much more a bigger part today.
Una cosa che ti posso dire, scusa se intervengo io, è che io ho sempre preso lo sbaglio come un motivo per fare meglio di come stavo facendo prima.
Bravo. Yeah, sì.
Capisci?
Yeah, so
Sai cosa fai?
You have to
Sbagli,
learn.
non è facile, no? Finisci in un bar, appoggi il gomito e ordini delle birre.
Ma era un famoso cosa Michael Jordan è sempre detto che hai bisogno imparare come perdere per vincere.
Certo, assolutamente sì.
Yeah, and we did hear from Anton about, he had just such a long period of just running. Eventually he gets injured. And how did he deal with that? Of course, you have a moment of depression. It's really hard. But he completely switched his way of thinking about his training and about his sport. And he actually found more joy later by combining these other sports, like climbing, gravel bike, and scrambling in the mountains. So
He seems happier than ever with his sporting exploits.
Exactly. So doing less running, but being more efficient and being smarter about his training.
Guarda, Anton, abbiamo parlato di questo stamattina. Tu sai che Anton Krupicka è un esempio vivente di tutto ciò, perché lui per un periodo ha dovuto un po' mollare con la corsa, che è il suo grande amore. E io gli ho chiesto questa mattina alle 6 del mattino, ma senti, ma tu che sei così, come hai fatto a superare quel momento? Ho detto, vivendo fuori, stando fuori, quindi ok, non stavo fuori magari correndo, lo potevo fare con la bici, andavo a arrampicare, lui arrampica anche, cammina molto, con la bici ha fatto delle grandi attraversate tra l'altro. Ecco, questo è il segreto, secondo me, perché lui continua oggi ad ispirare tanta gente, perché ha dimostrato che in un momento, tra virgolette, buio, gli ho detto che era molto frustrato, chiaramente non riusciva a fare più quello che faceva prima, adesso lo fa meglio di prima.
Exactly.
Però è stato un percorso tosto.
No, the inspiration of Anton, and probably more relevant today because of being injured and because of having those difficulties, and kind of not hiding them away. Anton is very open and about the difficulties he's had with his injuries and the depression.
He's written about it. If you follow along with him.
And I think that's the inspiration. The people know, okay, everybody has hard times, and using, he, as Daniele says, he lives outdoors. He's in, and that's where his happy place is, and he embraces
adapting
that. So
and
it doesn't
finding
matter
a way
if
to
he's
stay
running.
out there, get out there, even if you can't run on your 2 feet per se, like jump on a bike, whatever it takes.
Exactly. Love it. Yeah, no, that's great. So let's just touch on, maybe pivot, as we change subjects slightly. So your work in journalism and covering the sport. Do you must cover like a lot of products. Is that something you enjoy? Kind of that we talked a little bit about being a bit more scientific, but on the material side. So quando copri I prodotti, ti piacerebbe testare la novità, seguire?
Allora, guarda, uno degli aspetti che trovo più interessante del lavoro che svolgo è quello veramente di poter parlare con le aziende, poter dare il mio feedback anche e soprattutto testare i materiali, capire come sono fatti. Cioè, a me da piccolo piaceva il meccano, no? Era tipo i Lego, queste cose che montavi, smontavi con le piccole chiavi, sai, inglesi. Poi è una passione che mi ho un po' perso, e io con la corsa l'ho ritrovata. Mi dice, ma cosa c'entra? Perché vado a vedere com'è fatta la scarpa, quanto pesa, com'è il filo, e trovo che avere la possibilità per noi giornalisti di poter parlare con persone che di vari tech rap o comunque R&D, no? Ricerca e sviluppo, eccetera, aiuta tantissimo, perché ti permette di comprendere a fondo non solo il prodotto, ma lo sviluppo e l'evoluzione grazie al quale si è arrivati a quel prodotto. Quindi, quando noi per esempio facciamo, Jonathan, i test delle scarpe, noi suggeriamo alla gente qual è il runner ideale per poter usare quella scarpa, piuttosto che sicuramente ci sono delle caratteristiche che non ci piacciono, altre che ci piacciono di più, ma quello che cerchiamo sempre di fare con tutto il mio team di ragazzi, noi siamo una decina che testiamo le scarpe su Forrunning, e di dire, ragazzi, dobbiamo spiegare alla gente come mai quella scarpa può andare bene per un piede piuttosto che per un altro, perché abbiamo un know-how che non hanno tutti. Perché a noi non arriva la scarpa, noi vediamo quella arriva da testare, ma prima abbiamo già visto il prototipo, se non i prototipi, un anno prima, la scarpa smontata, l'esploso, le varie parti con cui è composta, se è accoppiata a caldo, se c'è della colla, ormai la colla si usa poco, è di un interessante pazzesco. Io ringrazio quel suo lavoro per poter scoprire queste cose.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, big passion for Daniele is also on the product side, but more than just kind of testing the product, it's actually being involved with the development of products, which
giving feedback, hearing feedback, like understanding the whole process, just not like as Nicola Della Costa was talking to us about not having just the first prototype, but then the second, third, 18th.
Yeah, exactly, and really interesting to hear. He has a big testing team, at least 10 people who are
close to 10.
Out there, Daniele explains to them, look, the people need to know why this shoe works on a certain type of foot or in a certain type of condition.
Hot, cold, all the different things.
Yeah, we need to explain that to the people so that they are informed.
The components that the shoe's made out of, how that's going to affect the foot.
Yeah, so as part of his work with some of the brands, he would get to see one of the earlier prototypes and kind of sees the evolution. You can see the shoe all kind of broken down into its different parts.
Components,
and give advice to the...
E mi permetto di dirti che è una cosa veramente bella, soprattutto con i ragazzi più giovani con cui io lavoro, che lavorano con noi, perché comunque avere la tech sheet di un prodotto, quindi le caratteristiche tecniche, eccetera, e poi da lì sviluppare un video, io non saprei neanche come fare. Non sarei capace. Quindi preferiamo veramente avere questa grande opportunità per poi raccontare. Noi ci innamoriamo di un prodotto, e di altri magari lo odiamo, però poi devi riuscire a dire no, ma anche se lo odi, tu devi spiegare per chi quello va bene. E quella è la difficoltà. Un tester deve fare così.
Certo.
E ti dico, i primi test, parlavamo di snowboard, io i primi test che ho fatto li facevo 20 anni fa con lo snowboard. Non dovevi dire se ti trovavi bene o male con la tua tavola, ma spiegare quel tipo di tavola che stavi testando, che stavi usando, a chi serviva. Essere maestro di snowboard mi ha insegnato tanto anche nel running, che sia trail o che sia strada. È una mentalità, no, che tu hai e che poi evolvi nel tempo. E questo ogni giorno, dico, è bello perché ogni giorno impari qualcosa, soprattutto dai ragazzi più giovani. Tu, Jonathan, lo sai bene, pensa alla forza che hanno nei piedi Andrea Rostan, Nadir e tutta la truppa dell'Aspo o di tutti i giovani anche degli altri team. Pensa quanto cambia il feeling su una scarpa da un piede come il mio, evoluto magari come feeling, ma tra virgolette vecchio perché ha fatto un po' di tempo, no? Hai un po' di anni che corre rispetto a un piede giovane. Combini le cose e trovi la soluzione. È alchimia.
Alchemy, exactly, alchemy.
Beautiful.
There is a bit of magic involved with these things.
Absolutely, man.
I did right, and just really cool, and just the difference between like a really strong athlete like an Andrea Rostan winning the 20K, and the difference between an older runner and the difference between the distances. It's
understanding how those materials, all those different components of the shoe is going to affect a young, powerful foot versus perhaps a more wisdom-filled foot, and understanding also the difference of being able to explain that to people. How can we help you find the shoe or the gear that's actually going to help you out at your stage, if you're on the road or if you're on the trail, if you're going 10 or if you're going 120, and everything in between. And when those things come together and people actually find a shoe or the gear that's useful to them, that they love, that they like, that's a little bit magic.
Yeah, and I find it great that Daniele is prepared to go the extra distance to kind of really understand the product and explain it. Just by reading a tech sheet, he says it's almost impossible to explain what the shoe's going to be. So without kind of having it in your hands, getting to know it over time, and then having the other testers who are all different. Some of his testers are young
different
and
perspectives,
fast, and
different
other
points
ones
of view. Exactly.
Which is exactly what
different heights, different weights.
It's so important. When we develop a shoe, we have to we always use our top athletes. They're for sure a reference to us and really important. But we can't just have the athletes test the shoes, because it's a completely different feeling and a completely different force through the shoe compared to a runner who's going to be running twice as long over a set distance.
Well, because I think, as Daniele was saying, you're kind of going to run where you live. And some of us are lucky enough to live in a place where you can just walk out your back door and I can go right up into the Dolomites. But others of us are lucky also to live in a city like Milano there is not a lot of mountains to go walk out your front door in Milan, you know.
Guarda, ti dico, la mia vita a Milano, io sono un runner milanese che corre tranquillamente 4-5 giorni alla settimana. Io non sono però milanese perché sono da 20 anni a Milano e io grazie alla corsa ho conosciuto la mia città.
Allora, infatti,
Capito?
è vero.
Quando tu vivi in una città che non conosci,
Secondo me è il miglior modo
sei così
di
confident,
entrare
no?
in un nuovo posto,
Sì.
correre e
Sì.
vedere le
Sì.
strade, le gente.
Se tu sei in centro città, è l'unica maniera di scoprire la grandezza e la bellezza di una città è correre tra un posto e
guarda,
l'altro.
i miei lunghissimi del weekend, che tutti per comodità nel weekend corriamo più a lungo, ma è veramente partire da dove vivo io a Milano, sui Navigli, e andare in centro, andare a vedere le vetrine. Poi se in quel momento, ecco, io ho la testa un po' sbloccata, no? Non guardo, io non fermo al semaforo l'orologio, non lo so fare, perché poi io sbaglio a farlo ripartire.
Come me.
Perdo, hai capito? Poi arrivo a casa e dico no, ho fatto mezzo chilometro in più, sto male, faccio 2 giri del parcheggio, mi prende male la testa. No, però veramente dico, oggi ho corso 2 ore e ho vissuto bene la mia città. Quando magari ci sono allenamenti più specifici, allora vabbè no, ci sono le ripetute in pista, ci sono gli allenamenti, le variazioni di ritmo, quelle devi farle. Ma se no, se posso, grazie alla corsa scopro un territorio nuovo. Quindi il fatto di stare qua a Cortina, io sono stato 4 giorni per la Sportiva per la Lavaredo Ultra Trail. Ho fatto una gara, ho fatto una giornata, sono andato a dormire in altitudine a 2200 metri al rifugio Son Forca, spettacolare posto alle basi del Cristallo. Sono tornato giù, ho fatto il tifo alla gara, siamo andati a correre, cioè è vivere il territorio e conoscere, perché per esempio dove sono andato a correre questa mattina con Anton non ero mai andato. E il gol qual è stato? Ragazzi, questa è un pezzo della gara, quindi noi correvamo, chiacchieravamo e gli atleti ci stavano superando. E allora pensi una volta di più, ma io quell'anno prossimo voglio il pettorale anch'io.
Fantastic to hear
Capisci?
that. Yeah, exactly.
It's so
Yeah,
true.
yeah, just the experience that running gives you. They're unique. So being here in Cortina, Danielle has slept in a hut, a spectacular place, seen the sunrise, coming back down this morning out with Anton at 5 o'clock, and getting to run on a part of the...
All of a sudden, he realized that they were on a part of the race trail,
Yeah,
and
he's
that there
never-
was going to
never
be
been
racing
there.
coming.
He's never run on that
But
place
you
before.
discover these little secret corners, and you're out there and discovering it because you have your feet on the ground.
Exactly, but whether you're in here in Cortina or whether he's at home in Milan, he does it the same way. He goes out and he runs through the city and discovers places and sees things and people that you would never see if you weren't a runner.
And I also appreciated the fact that he let us know that he was not stopping his timer every single time he got to the street light that was red. Like he was making him a little bit too crazy. He didn't want to have to go home and then run around 4 laps around the parking lot to try and make everything sync up. So that's very real and very appreciated.
Grazie.
Daniele, tu hai fatto una gara oggi, non oggi,
L'ultimo anno.
altre ieri, a 10 km
Sì.
qui a Cortina.
Bellissima.
Cosa vedi tu delle evoluzioni rispetto di sostenibilità, i numeri che vogliono partecipare, ma vedi un problemino?
È un bellissimo argomento, perché comunque vedo che, lo vedo soprattutto tra i giovani, c'è un'attenzione verso l'ambiente in continua crescita. Cioè il giovane ha capito che per stare outdoor deve rispettare l'outdoor. E quindi se vuoi è un po' un circolo vizioso, no? Quindi pensare al posto in cui vivi, rispettandolo, valorizzandolo, dà più valore alla tua azione, dà più valore a ciò che fai, ti fa stare meglio.
Yeah, that's super cool.
E quindi ti dico che anche nelle gare sui 10, per esempio, che non so, fai caso, la gente si prepara l'acqua, non buttano l'acqua via, la tengono, magari arrivano al traguardo con la flasca che ha ancora 200 millilitri di acqua. Potevo correre più forte? No, la bevo alla fine. Non la butto via per essere più leggero, perché magari tanto sai che alla fine c'è sempre il ristoro finale, quindi acqua, Coca-Cola, tè, limoni, torte delle nonne, eccetera, eccetera. E questo sicuramente è molto bello tra i giovani, perché c'è più attenzione.
Yeah, well, that's
Io amo i giovani,
Yeah.
amo i giovani non perché, è ovvio, sono il futuro, ma perché comunque vedo da un quindicenne in poi come si rapporta all'ambiente in cui vive. E nelle gare tu vai a una 10, la 10K di un evento come Cortina ha tanti giovani, perché comunque la 10K è un inizio. Ho visto tante mamme con le figlie, tanti papà col figlio, tanti fratelli, no? E questo l'ho notato. L'anno scorso ho fatto la maratona di Praga. Ragazzi, maratona sono 42 km, quindi non è una gara che prepari su strada, chiaramente non c'è dislivello, quasi zero, però è impegnativa. Un botto di ragazzi giovani. Giovani vuol dire puoi cominciare a 20 anni, ok, si fa la maratona. E questo vuol dire tanto.
Oh, that's great to hear. It's very, very so positive. Daniele is such a positive person. We really know that. But he really believes in the young people, and he sees the young people that really have a respect for the environment that they're running.
Change really, like I think of the mentality generationally about what it means. Like I think he was saying, like if you want to be outdoors, then you have to kind of protect the outdoors and take care of the outdoors.
Exactly, and it's great that he's seeing that happen, which I think is super positive. Even the little things like being in the 10-kilometer race. A lot of young people, a lot of mothers with daughters, which is super cool to see. So making it a
brothers and
family.
Sisters, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly, and then just seeing how even really little things like runners finishing the race still with half of their flask full.
Right, but instead of dumping it and trying to get a couple grams lighter, which is maybe going to help you a little bit more on your millisecond,
and use
but
it
instead, no, I'm going to drink it later. I'm going to use it later, and so there's no reason to waste that.
Yeah, no reason to go, to use extra from the other aid stations.
And that is interesting. I would say like an interesting bit of a generational change, a little bit for the better.
Yeah, loving to see that. Yeah, look, and I guess we probably need to wrap this up fairly shortly. We'll look over to.
We don't want to take too much of Daniele's time.
Okay.
Exactly.
What have you got left? We're here on Saturday afternoon now. So what do you have in your program for the rest of the weekend here in Cortina? So qual è il tuo programma per i prossimi ore?
Allora, sicuramente essere presente all'arrivo e alla premiazione vuol dire tanto, perché comunque innanzitutto è un impegno per noi giornalisti nel rispettare gli organizzatori, perché veramente io faccio i complimenti a chi si è inventato questa gara, perché è veramente bella, e trovo che comunque rimanere fino alla premiazione dà qualcosa in più, dà valore a questi ragazzi che hanno fatto veramente tanta fatica, sia chi è andato sul podio, quindi che sarà premiato, che tutti quelli che hanno partecipato. Quindi comunque seguire interamente un evento la premiazione fa parte di. Poi è chiaro che ti dico, io come ti ho raccontato torno a Milano, cavolo, lasciare Cortina, spero di trovare un biglietto per le Olimpiadi quest'inverno, perché è un posto magnifico, e poi devo fare i complimenti perché ho visto tanto pubblico fare tifo, questo mi è piaciuto molto, e ho visto comunque anche chiacchierando con la gente nei negozi, io sono un chiacchierone, sono coinvolti, sono coinvolti, ti chiedono, io sono qua per lavoro, come sta andando, come si interessano, questo è grande. È grande perché comunque c'è una comunità che è pronta per ospitare un'Olimpiade, cioè non stiamo parlando di una comunità qualunque, siamo a Cortina d'Ampezzo. Però vedere che già a giugno, queste sono le prove tecniche di trasmissione, stanno funzionando, devo dire che forza Cortina, Milano Cortina, forza Olimpiadi.
Chi ora è la premiazione stasera?
Sai che non lo so, io sono qua, non scappo.
Esatto. No, the prize giving will be held later on tonight, and Daniele says, of course, he's staying. He's going to applaud. He's going to celebrate the
one of
the
his favorite things is just the supporters, as well as mine, like along the street where people are just stopping and clapping, cheering as the runners are coming through all day long.
And people are interested, aren't they? They're asking questions. And
absolutely conversing with each other. But then, as he was saying as well, entering inside the stores and the shops and talking with the people here, and how helpful and warm and open they are to ask how you're doing, are you enjoying yourself, and then just kind of the energy that is around the town itself with the upcoming Olympics. I mean, it is quite the sports town with the sports history, and you really see that coming together, and the community here is just wonderful.
Yeah, and I think it's so good to, celebrate the winners and celebrate all who are on the podium, but respecting the race and the race organization and the fact that they've put so much effort into it, and that's normally
see a lot of pride.
And it's normally a time where you can give a big shout out to all the volunteers on the track, and we know that there's more than 700 volunteers that are making this race happen, because without that, it's impossible to make such a big event work. So, also from our side, a big shout out. Well done, all of the volunteers in the aid stations out there directing traffic, out there showing the runners the way on the course, and keeping everybody safe. So we love that.
All right, so we're gonna let Daniele go, and we're gonna take a quick pause. But then when we come back, we're going to be on the YouTube channel, and we're also going to be on Instagram Live with Francesco Pupi, winner of the 50K, and quite a popular and influential person in this sport as well. We're really looking forward to talking with him.
Yeah, La Sportiva Instagram, La Sportiva on YouTube, and we're going to look forward to shout out also when the lead woman comes through to the finish line as well. So
exactly.
We'll be
so
shouting
we'll see
out
you
for
in a
Courtney.
second. Grazie Daniele.
Grazie a voi, grazie a voi.
Grazie Daniele. Ho dimenticato di dire grazie. great to hear from Daniele Milano, and just how enthusiasm he is about running, but about trail running, of course, but life in general. And shout out to his magazine here,
For Running Magazine.
Yeah, For
he brought us
Running
both a copy,
Magazine,
which was really nice of him.
And I just spotted there was a Kiwi on the cover too. So
Makes you feel good.
Nancy Jang, big
There you
shout
go.
out to her. Welcome back, Francesco. We had you here in the studio yesterday.
You're making yourself a regular guest on La Sportiva Radio.
Thank you.
Winner of yesterday's 50-kilometer race. Not quite under that 4 hour, but pretty close. Yeah, congratulations again for the race. How are the legs feeling this morning?
Yeah, pretty sore, obviously, but I was able to jog a little bit. I went up to Colgalina to watch the 120K race, so I was like hiking and jogging a little bit on the trail, and it felt pretty good to move the legs after yesterday.
So is that a good thing to do after a really hard race, a long race? It's better to get out and run or complete race?
I think it depends. Yeah, usually I try to rest for maybe a couple of days with no running at all. Maybe do some cycling, which has less impact compared to running. But now I'm like trying to build for longer races. So I thought, yeah, why not running a little bit? My coach suggested to try to move a little bit. So I tried, and yeah, it wasn't too bad.
That's good.
Very slow though.
Yeah,
very slow.
Yeah, respect the body. That's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bet nice being out there and cheering the 120 coming through. So
It was.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what was it like this morning? Kind of the atmosphere out there. Were there lots of other people out there cheering, or did the runners appreciate that when they hear you're out there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is always a little group of friends that typically gathers at Colgalina on Saturday morning to wait for all the runners, and they're probably out there for like 12 hours to wait until the very back of the pack. So I was there for a couple of hours. I saw Pem Dieman going through, and yeah, there was quite a large crowd, to be honest, being like 8 a.m. in the morning. And then we saw Raul and Andreas, second and third, Tobias very close in fourth place. And then I waited until Courtney came through, and yeah, obviously she's a fan favorite, so lots of people cheering for her, and it was nice to see.
I think that's really interesting because I think we could also label you as a fan favorite. But hearing
Not
you
quite
talk
as much as Courtney.
But hearing you talk about, I mean, you just won a race, a prestigious race, and the very next morning you're out there supporting. It sounds like your friends and your colleagues. And I guess like coming into this sport and thinking about running, you often picture the solitary individual out on the road or out on the trail. But my impression being around here, being around the Lute, is that would you consider trail running, ultra running an individual sport or a team sport?
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to say that it's a team sport. For me, it's still an individual sport because obviously you're out there
Doing it yourself.
You rely on your own legs,
it's just two of them.
own lungs and,
Yeah.
and mind and body. But then, yeah, the support team around you is obviously very important, more in the everyday training, I think, than during
on
the
race
actual
day.
race. Yeah, I think, if you just have enough motivation, you always have the energy to, like, you can always gather the energies to do your best on race day. What it's really hard to do is like to be very consistent day after day and put in the work and trust the process, as they say. That is not easy, obviously, and if you surround yourself with the right people, it helps a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Could you maybe tell, like, what kind of team of support do you have for your training, coaching, nutrition, things like that? Do you work on mental training? Is there somebody that helps you with that?
Yeah. So I have two coaches, one for the endurance side and one for strength work. So it's more like specific, and they talk to each other. So we try to integrate both of this training into my plan. And then I have a nutritionist. I don't really follow like a strict diet, but it's more like based on some pretty solid principles, I would say. And it's mainly about making sure I'm getting enough calories to sustain my training, and then thinking about the macronutrients and everything I need to stay healthy, which is the number one thing, and perform at my best. I think you cannot perform at your best if you're not healthy, and I think more and more athletes are starting to understand that. The culture has shifted a little bit from like skinnier is equal faster to now stronger is faster. So that's been nice to see.
Interesting. Well, before we get into some really interesting themes, which I'm really curious about, especially things like the commercialization, professionalism that we're seeing in these changes coming in. But maybe just give a really quick recap of your personal journey, starting running, moving through mountain running for many years, and now moving into longer distances. So just tell us a little bit of your story.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to add regarding the last question. My sport psychologist is also very, very important. I think it's changed my life and my relationship with running, and I've always been an individual without a whole lot of self-confidence. I'm not very self-confident. Have a lot of doubt, and I tend to not really value myself or what I do. So that's been extremely helpful for me to.
Let's expand on that. And what sort of advice would he give you, or maybe that we can share with other people out there listening?
Yeah, I think it's about creating a safe place where you can be yourself, more than actually having answers to your problems or to what you feel. But you learn to give a name to what you feel and express yourself, which is not obvious. I think a lot of times we feel things that we don't really understand what they are and where they come from. So it's about understanding and putting some order, I would say.
Having a vocabulary,
I think
to
that's
be able
been
to express
key.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like a toolkit that you can draw on.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
And then it's like learning that not to push back any emotions. Like all the emotions have a reason. You don't have to fight them. But of course, there is some more functional or some less functional responses to those emotions. So you can play with that a little bit, and depending on what you want and your goals and everything, you can have different responses more than reactions. It's better to respond instead of react,
I think that's a great way to put it, exactly, because there is a huge difference between those two, responding and just reacting.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that a little bit because it's a topic I really care about.
That's great, and it's really insightful, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I agree, and it's and it's really cool, kind of hearing that from an elite runner. How that we often put top athletes on the pedestal and say, oh wow, they're so amazing, they must be so confident, they must know what they're doing, but it's not always like that, is it?
Yeah, we're human. I mean, you've been a super top athlete, so you know how it is. I mean, it's hard, and we're just like everyone else. So I think now that the mental health topic has been more normalized, it's easy to talk about it. But until a few years ago, it was a little bit of a taboo.
Another shout out to the younger generation, I think, for helping society start to normalize that.
I think it was especially after the Tokyo Olympics. that people, like athletes especially, really
Sure.
started talking about it, and
Yeah,
Now I
became,
remember there started to be a tipping
yeah.
point around that time as well, where, like I know in America, there were some very famous NBA basketball players, but just other top athletes that were willing. Serena Williams, that was willing to come out and talk about
Yeah.
some of the mental health aspects and some of the pressures. Do you find that some of the pressure that you feel comes more from yourself?
Yeah.
Or being a public person and like being very visible in the social media world and whatnot, you're also, I'm sure, hearing voices, or do you find a way to kind of try and block that out and just take the pressure from yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest pressure always comes from myself, just because you always want to do more, to be better, and on one hand, that's a huge source of motivation, and I think it's part of the DNA of any elite athlete.
Sure.
You know, you want to always improve and grow. On the other hand, it can be a little dangerous and sometimes detrimental. Like it can definitely turn against you. So yeah, I think, you know, sometimes we project our thoughts on other people and think that they are putting pressure on us, but it's actually pressure that comes from ourselves. So to realize that is important, and I think once you realize that, it's not that people don't care, but like what we do, our races, our results, on the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. So once you realize that, I think it's very freeing, and not to say that I don't care. Obviously, I really care, but you know, it allows you to
keep it in
live that.
perspective.
I
Yeah.
believe it's possible to kind of both. You care very, very, very much, but also understand it's
It's
how
not
do you
your
how do you
identity.
respond to that
Yeah.
caring is that it doesn't, or how do you define
Like
success?
you're not your results, you're not your races, you're not your times. Being able to separate your identity from that is very important. You're more than just an athlete, more than just a runner.
Has your definition of success changed as you've gotten older or evolved?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the early years it was more about proving myself and
Proving
like
that you belong.
showing people that I could you know, perform up to a certain level, and like basically like my idea of self-worth was based on my race results and times and
Expectations,
Expectations,
others.
yeah.
That's
Exactly.
right. That's right.
And now it's more like self-centered, I would say, and process-oriented. And I think it's important to understand that the result of a race or of any process is just the tip of the iceberg of something much longer.
That's so
and
true.
not everything is actually under your control. Like there is a lot of variables that you can control, but a lot that you cannot control. So as long as you do your best and put in the work and also have fun, I think you can be content and not blame yourself for not being enough or not living up to your expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the enjoying the process is a key is a key point.
Yeah, well, you said it even earlier, that like beautiful sports phrase of trusting the process in your training.
Yeah, I mean,
in your routine.
It's not easy, but
No, it's not
because
always.
there's not a recipe. It's different it looks different for everyone, and yeah, it's definitely taken me a long time to get there, but I feel now it's there. Yeah, I feel in a good place, and the funny thing is that is actually reflecting my race results.
I was gonna say.
You become more
results
relaxed,
also seem to
yeah.
be-
As long as you reduce this pressure that you put on yourself, you also start to perform better.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you actually think that you cannot like you cannot decrease that pressure from yourself, because if you do, then you're gonna be worse, and like you try to put more control in yourself, but it ends up like controlling yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's I mean, certainly, looking back at my own running career, I think if you don't enjoy the process, if you don't enjoy the training, you put so many hours into it, then you come to race day, and that's just the smallest part of it. That's the tip of the iceberg, as you said. So
Beautiful metaphor.
So you have to enjoy that, and then when it comes to race day, if you can't control the pressure, as you say, I mean, I kind of sum it up by saying, the agitation or the nervousness that you feel, I think of it as like butterflies in the stomach. But as long as you can make those, because it's good to be nervous. It's good to have that feeling to be ready, But you need to control that. So keep the butterflies there, but just make sure that they're all flying in formation, all flying in the same direction. So you take the positive energy of it. But you control it. That you can be tense and ready, but you're also have a state of relaxation. And I think you summed that up really, really nicely. So.
You've been racing for a long time now. Do you still get a nervous energy in those moments before the starting gun when you're out there on the street getting ready with the other 10, 15 people? Like, do you get those butterflies?
And how many years as well have you been? When did you start?
Yeah, way too long.
And how do you kind of what do you do to try and change that nervous energy into positive performance?
Yeah, I try to think that this is what I really like to do. It's something that I've chosen. I have no obligation to be there. It's because I want to. So that completely changes the perspective. Like, I'm not there because I have to, but running is a gift. Like, running is a huge privilege that we have, and something that we get to do. So yeah, it's beautiful to be out there and race other athletes and run through beautiful places. So
yeah,
that's wonderful. That's a wonderfully
and you really live the sport as well. So you're a racer, you're a trainer, but you're also a podcaster. You're very active on social media. You're also a member of the Pro Trail Runners Association, and really working for the benefit of the athletes. So maybe like you're a 360-degree athlete. It's a trendy thing to say. But yeah, tell us a bit about those other things that you do, which are really important to keep the growth of the sport and keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think I never really wanted to develop my career in running just as an athlete, like going from one race to another. And of course, I totally respect athletes who do that and who are just focused on their career and performance. But I feel like I want to have a bigger impact than what I can maybe have with just my results, which they may be good or not, but they come and go. But my goal is to try to elevate the sport and make the sport better for the future generations. And when I entered the sport of trail and mountain running, it was not developed, and I realized there were a lot of limitations and things that needed to be improved. And I wanted to do something for the sport to provide better opportunities for especially elite athletes, which is the category I care about the most, but also like average runner, like any participant in trail and ultra running. So yeah, I've tried to devote some of my time and energy to different projects to go in this direction.
Yeah, cool. And how many people are on the Pro Trail Runners Association? So maybe just tell us a bit
Yeah.
about the group and when it was formed and what what you think still needs to be done.
Yeah. So the Pro Trail Runners Association was founded 3 years ago. It was the end of 2022, and it started as an idea of Kylian Jornet and me and Pascal Egli, who were the original founders. And basically, we felt that we were at a pivotal moment in the sport, and with the development of circuits and the professionalization of the sport, also the commercialization and the involvement of brands and federations and just different actors, and we felt like athletes were missing a little bit, or like not always our voice and interests were listened to. And obviously, like, if I complain and I'm just by myself, no one is listening. But if we create a group of people and an association, we're stronger together. And we just wanted to try to have a voice, basically at the same level of other stakeholders in the sport, being race organizers, circuits, brands, federations.
Yeah,
and now we're about 300 athletes,
Wow.
among the best of the sport. And we're structured with a general board that is the core of the association, where the main topics and key decisions are being taken. And then we have a few different working groups who are focused on different areas of what we do. But I feel like one of our main objectives is like to just provide feedback, for example, to WMRA or UTMB or World Athletics, where I think we've been recognized as a relevant voice in the sport. So whenever they have something they have a question or an issue that they want to decide or to think about, they come to us and consult with us, and we try to give feedback and just work with them.
Well, I think it's great that that it's been set up to cover all aspects and all circuits of the sport, because you had previous experience on the Athletes Commission run by the WMRA, but of course that was focused very much on WMRA activities. So I think having a larger group that's really looking globally around the whole sport, I think has been a really positive step, and I've already seen plenty of influence on that already at various races as well. So keep up the good work.
Yeah. I think also, like, with mountain running falling a little bit more under the trail running umbrella, it made more sense to have a larger group to take care of the sport under the Pro Trail Runners Association, and then the Athletes Commission of the WMRA is more instrumental for the WMRA itself, and maybe the WMRA World Cup. But yeah, we're not working against anyone. We try to work with other people, other associations, and stakeholders, so that the sport can grow in a good direction.
Yeah, well, using the word pro as my segue, you become a professional athlete yourself. What are the kind of the challenges? Because it's kind of like the dream. I can be a professional athlete. I have all this time. I can do what I want. But it's a bit more to it than that.
Like, what does professionalism inside trail running in this world right now, in this moment, entail outside of just winning races?
And I mean, and to add on to that, I mean, I can also see, because we've talked about the mental health side of it, and that must be an influence as well.
Yeah, totally. You're right. So yeah, it also depends on how you define a professional runner, because if you define a professional runner as someone who has a monetary contract with a brand, there are quite a few opportunities now in the sport, but not everybody is like a full professional. Many people prefer to maybe keep a side job, because obviously you're not running the whole day, like training doesn't occupy the whole day. So if your job is flexible enough, you can definitely have another occupation and then still run at a really high level. So a lot of athletes do that. Others prefer to just focus on running. And then, of course, not all contracts are high enough
Sure.
to allow athletes to.
I'm sure there's probably a pretty
Yeah.
big range in the amounts of money involved
exactly.
in the contracts.
So other athletes have to work other jobs in order to make a living, of course. But I think it's getting better, and even from 4 or 5 years ago, the situation is very different, and now more and more athletes are able to be professional runners full time. It's probably also very different from your time in the sport when you had to kind of, you were like more like a crossover athlete between trail, mountain running, track, and roads. You had to do a little bit of everything in order to make a living, I guess.
I mean, you know what I used to do? I used to say that running was my hobby, and that immediately took away any kind of financial stress or pressure, because effectively I was a professional runner for 6 months of the year, and then I would return back to my work for the other 6 months. So,
Okay.
but that was kind of a way I could take away that stress of having to have performances for financial benefit. So.
Did you have to rely just mainly on prize money, or do you have a monetary contract with the brand?
Yeah, I had a monetary contract with the brand, but not enough to live on back then. But yeah, it was the work. I knew I could go back to a job. So if things went south, like if I got injured and I couldn't run or race for 6 months, I knew I had something to go back to. So that was always a way that I could make sure that I wasn't stressed about the racing side of it.
May I inquire, what did you do outside of, like, as a job in your younger days?
I'm an architect.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Cool.
That's a bit outside the sporting world. But now with my work with La Sportiva, I've always had an interest in design, product design. And so now to still be kind of involved in that field, I've sort of found my niche, I think.
There you go.
But yeah, just you now being a professional runner, how do you kind of divide your time as well? You have the flexibility, but how does that kind of benefit you?
Yeah, the main thing is to have time for training, like enough time for training, and obviously recovery. I feel like recovery gets always sacrificed a little bit. Yeah, like you really have to be intentional and prioritize recovery, otherwise you just don't recover enough. Also because I'm someone who tends to take on a lot and do many projects, the PTRA, and then I have some personal projects, and I do a little bit of coaching on the side. I have a personal podcast.
That's awesome.
So just many things
Renaissance man.
which are exciting, but they also take a lot of time and energy away from training and recovery, which for a pro runner is obviously the priority. But yeah, I think there is, I think it looks different for different people. Not everybody needs to be the same, and I think like a cool thing that I realize is that I don't have to I don't have to stick to the idea of the ideal professional athlete that I used to have in my mind, but I can build my own version of what professional running looks like for me, as long as it works and as long as I'm happy.
That's wonderful. I think we would say in the United States that you can wear many hats.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I also think it's good to have something, like outside of running as well. So I like how you talk about the coaching aspect. Okay, it's still very much running related, but you're not thinking about yourself all the time.
Do you have any?
Like almost everything I do is running related, which has some pros and cons, but it's not always about me. It's also a lot of work for other people, and I think being able to help other people, whether in training or like with the PTRA or with other projects, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Were any of your runners here this weekend participating in the loop?
I actually have a couple of runners. Yeah, one from Palm Springs, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that I visited just a couple of months ago when I was in the U.S. for my race at Canyons, and she raced the 50K yesterday.
Fantastic.
Really
That's awesome.
Typical. That's so
Glad
nice.
you got to give her a shout out.
Her too.
And you spend quite a lot of time in the States, don't you? How does that benefit your training and racing?
Yeah, usually because I try to combine maybe the participation to a race with a training camp or maybe a couple of races like I did last year. Since it's a big trip and traveling is stressful, I think it's worth spending a bit of time and also like it's for you do it for the experiences, and you can learn a lot by living in a different countries and seeing how other people are living and training.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah, I was really lucky this year, for example, that I had the opportunity to do a training camp in Mammoth Lakes in California, and then race at the Canyons 100K. Last year, for example, I raced the Chacanat 50K, one of the historic 50K races of the west coast of
absolutely.
the U.S.
Absolutely.
And then I stayed for 3 weeks in Boulder, and then I raced Lake Sonoma, which is another classic.
West Coast is the best coast, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Do you having had a lot of experience running over in the United States, and me kind of starting to learn about this world? I have seen in some of the different podcasts and some of the different interviews that I've been watching this year, it's come up some comparisons. Like, is there a big difference in style between North American runners and the European-based runners? And in your
the
opinion,
races as well, yeah.
Yeah, in your opinion, what may be some of the bigger differences or similarities? Maybe that's not true at all. Maybe everybody's just running, and running is running. I don't know. we like to divide ourselves.
Yeah, running
up
is
into
running,
groups,
but there are some differences. I really like how close the community is in the U.S. It's a very close community, and I think also a lot of people feel a sense of responsibility towards the sport and their community.
Sure.
So, for example, if you just look at the participation to events, you're in the U.S., people know that it's not just about running a race. You can also do volunteer at an aid station and do trail work and just help
the logistics
the event.
of the event.
Yeah, exactly. You can get involved at different levels, and here is much less of a thing. And of course we have volunteers at races, but probably virtually anyone is doing trail work. For example, that's just an example.
Sure.
Another difference that I find is the size of the events. Usually in Europe they're much larger. But I think in the U.S. you're able to give importance and value to some events that are actually quite small, but that you can showcase really well, and that's great. I mean, and sometimes from the European side they look just big events, and then you go there and you see they're quite small, quite grassroots, and they're small communities. And I was surprised, for example, at Chacanat is a relatively small race, but
Sure.
it's still very important for U.S.
Yeah, interesting.
Trail running culture, for example.
And is it small also because numbers are limited because running into
Yeah.
national parks?
So
and-
yeah,
Exactly.
I've heard like exactly
There is this issue with
restrictions on numbers.
permits in the U.S. So yeah, you cannot just organize like a 5,000 people race like here. You can easily do that. Serginal, 6,000 people run on the same course on the same day. I think it's pretty much impossible to do that in the U.S. unless
Do you
you
think-
go on like private land.
Do you guys think that there's a little bit of a different conceptualization about like what nature and the wild is in North America, in the Americas, versus in Europe, where we're living right now?
I mean, here in Europe, we have the Alps. They're basically like this huge playground, but we don't have any wilderness left unless you go like really high in the mountains, like on the glaciers or like on the highest mountains.
Sure.
But in the U.S., you have these like big open spaces that are still pretty unspoiled, and that also reflects on, for example, how trails are built. Like you have very like long distance hiking trails, the Pacific Crest Trail, the John Muir Trail,
Appalachian Trail.
obviously, and that reflects on the style of how people run and hike and just recreate. Here it's just different. Even like a simple concept like a trailhead, it's not really a thing here.
No, in
But
fact,
in the U.S., there's a trail and the trailhead, and usually a bathroom next to the trailhead.
Right.
Which is so
And then you will
so
not see-
nice.
It's just more New Zealand style as well.
Right, like I'm sure that like even like because New Zealand also has, I think, probably its own culture when it comes to nature and how the geography and the population informs how you kind of feel about wilderness and nature and wild.
Yeah, just being really, really careful about how to manage numbers of people going into places. Whereas you tend to find in Europe, you hit the trail, you go up, and there'll always be like a mountain hut or a restaurant, something.
There's
something.
always somewhere to find an espresso, and if you're lucky, a grappa.
True. Whereas, as Francesco says, you go out, you leave the trailhead, and that's it. You don't see anything for hundreds of miles.
Yeah, once you're in the backcountry in the U.S., you're really out in the wilderness, and nobody's gonna save you. Like you have to be able to provide for yourself and your own safety. Here, you're pretty much always close to a village or a mountain hut or something, some kind of civilization. So it looks different.
Yeah, you feel a little bit vulnerable when you go out into those spaces. So, I mean, just to touch on that subject, but in terms of safety, I mean, what do you do? When you do run out in the States or anywhere?
Yeah, have you
to
ever
take
had
care of
any
yourself?
experiences maybe with wildlife or just being out alone, getting caught in the weather out there by yourself is probably a little bit different than getting caught out here.
Yeah, I never had any bad experience, mostly because whenever I went for a long run or on a trail that I didn't know, I was usually with someone else. So the best is, of course, to go with someone who already knows the land, the trail. I did meet a rattlesnake on the trail
Really?
back a couple of months ago, but it was pretty chill. So
As
yeah,
rattlesnakes
it didn't
go.
bother me.
As rattlesnakes go. Just kind of shaking its tail a little bit. But
And then I saw a couple of bears, but they were also just looking at me and not doing anything.
to wave at each other,
Just
just
walk
continue on your
away.
business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess there's always a moment of like, okay, what if?
But yeah, people it's a different experience. For example, I was with my friend in Palm Springs, and they are always like alert on where they put their feet because of snakes and wildlife. And here, like go out running and we don't really think about wildlife or like pretty much any kind of danger. But they always have to pay attention.
No, that's how growing up in Phoenix, Arizona, like it is actually like you're told from a young age like to pay attention to where you put your feet and your hands out in the desert because of the spiders and the snakes that go into the cool areas that are shaded in that hot summer sun or that hot winter sun as well. So.
Yeah, good advice.
But it is interesting how the geography kind of informs even the style, the tracks, and the style of being able to run.
Yeah, well, taking local advice is obviously the best thing to do for preparation.
Definitely.
Well, let's bring it back to. I want to talk about maybe the commercialization and professionalism in the sport, because from what I can see, there's been such a big change, even in the last 5 years, maybe even shorter time than that. And you kind of famously left one of your sponsors because you were unhappy with some of the activities. So, I mean, tell us about. I mean, there's always pros and cons, but being able to live as a professional runner, but there's always this kind of balance. And how do you see the kind of the commercialization of the sport? I don't really like that word, but I mean, with obviously companies coming in, of course they want to have a benefit from that, a material benefit. But how can we sort of retain the values that we really hold as special as a part of that?
Yeah, you're right. I also don't really like the word commercialization, because to me it means like
it means exploiting
profit for profit.
Sure. Yeah. As a negative connotation.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I would like to think that if any company or brand is getting involved in the sport, is not just because they want to benefit from it from a financial perspective, but because they want to somehow help the sport, the growth of the sport, and however you define growth. For me, it's mainly about like creating opportunities for people to get involved and run. So yeah, I think maybe a sustainable way to look at this problem is like unless a brand has a positive impact on the sport and the community, it's probably not going to be very sustainable on the long term, because it's just profit for profit, as I said, and I think there is a social responsibility that these companies should have, and
What do you think most brands are kind of getting that? Do you think that's maybe?
I think some are, and some maybe are not as much. But yeah, I cannot say that they don't care at all. I think there are definitely brands that are building meaningful projects in the sport, and obviously, for example, I wouldn't be able to make a living without the support of a company. So yeah, I don't think like professionalization and commercialization mean that just like some people. I think some people are afraid that the sport is going to lose, its values and how it used to be when it started.
Una volta fa.
Yeah, I mean, evolution is part of.
It's a natural part of the
it's a natural
life cycle.
process, exactly. And it definitely brings pros and cons, but I think different things can coexist. So it doesn't mean that if the sport is becoming more professional, that there is not room for other ways to get involved and participate in the sport.
And what about the various kind of circuits that are around? So it can be quite tough kind of explaining our sport to people who have no idea.
Yeah.
I remember my first meeting with Walter more than a year ago, explaining kind of the nature of our sport and the various groups and organizations that were behind it. And
a lot of acronyms out there. There's a lot of acronyms out there.
But Americans love an acronym.
You know it, man. If we can capitalize the first letter in every word and like have something snappy, like
we got
we're gonna take it, baby.
we got WMRA, we got IDRA. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. But yeah, it is a kind of complicated sport to explain. But how do you see the kind of the evolution of that? I mean, things are being created, because of need, and there was a kind of a vacuum in off-road running for many years. What about the direction going forward? What would you like to see as your vision, and especially being involved in the PTRA? They're a good acronym there.
Yeah. Yeah, there is for sure a lot of fragmentation at the moment. Also because I think we tend to see trail running as one sport, but it's actually like many different events under one umbrella that is called trail running. So it's like when you say, track and field, there are so many events, so many different athletes doing different things. And with trail running is even more because each race is different, and there is virtually no limit to the distances and type of races that you can build depending on the geography and the terrain. So it's a very complex sport to understand from the outside, and it's just its nature, I think. And I don't think we should deny it, but I think we should probably try to simplify it a little bit, and instead of fighting among each other, one circuit trying to maybe fight the other circuits to have more visibility or attract more athletes, more sponsors, more audience. We should try to work together to elevate the sport and take it to the next level, make it more popular for people, for not just for people to be part of it, but also for people to watch it now that it's becoming a thing, with the live streams and stuff. So yeah, I think historically federations never really had a big influence on the sport because it developed from various experiences and races, events from the community. Now that it's getting more professional and there is more people getting involved, and also with the circuits, realizing that they need to establish better standards and rules, I think they're feeling the need for a federation to really come in and set some standards and rules. For example, in terms of anti-doping or prize money, or these issues that are actually very relevant to the sport. So, for example, here in Italy, if your race is not affiliated under a national federation, you can actually not distribute prize money. You can actually not have anti-doping, and that's a big issue, for example.
Yeah, that's a super big deal.
Yeah. So that's why it's important that federation work together with events and race organizers and circuits to establish some standards. And yeah, it's not. I don't think like putting more. It's not like about putting more rules, but I don't think federations are there to create problems. They're actually there to solve problems. But a lot of times, the funny thing is that in trail running, a lot of people always saw, the rules and the federations as a limitation to their freedom to do whatever they wanted. But now they're realizing that it's not really like that.
I think when it functions well, it can be more like a shepherd.
Yeah.
That is helping to move the sport forward. as opposed to holding it back and just regulating it.
At least a kind of like a standardization, so that people understand there's a certain level that every race it kind of meets, and as you mentioned, anti-doping, to make sure that the sport that we love and we enjoy is also fair and fair for everybody to race and compete at the same level. So.
And one last thing I'd like to touch on, you were mentioning just kind of about like building exposure, and not just opportunities for the athletes and the participants, but also building the opportunities to be able to follow this sport and learn these stories. And I know that one of the biggest things that I heard coming into this week was when you threw down the gauntlet and said that I'm going to come there and I'm going to run this race in less than 4 hours. And I got to tell you, and we were talking about it also with Daniele, who we were interviewing before. We both were just mad props. We loved the fact that you were willing to try and build some hype. And it didn't even really matter. It didn't matter what was going to happen. What was important was that I was interested and wanted to know exactly what the timing was and was going to follow it all the way through. And I started to learn, we started to learn more about your story. And also your personality as well, and I was just like, thank you. It made my weekend more exciting and more interesting, and that's why sport is wonderful and great for me.
Yeah, I think we need more stories, and I think we need more people helping athletes have a platform to share their stories. I think it's very powerful when a brand, for example, works with an athlete to share their story, and it's not just about their results and races, but also about carrying a message, sharing a story. That can be very powerful in terms of inspiration for people, but also for the brand, for marketing. I see a lot of potential there, and my intention was not to really build hype around this race, but it was just a personal goal that I had since I was so close to the 4-hour barrier 2 years ago. Obviously, the next logical step was to try to break 4 hours, and I tried really hard. But
I think the hype just kind of comes naturally because it's fun when you hear that, and it's exciting to think about. And then the hype is naturally born from that. I don't think it's
that's true. Yeah, also usually
as the kids would
in
say, I
trail
don't
running,
think it's really aura farming exactly.
Also in trail running, we never really talk about times, and people even high-level athletes are always I'm here to run my race and to have fun. But I think to say a goal out loud and to dare to try is it's fun.
Dare to try, baby. Dare to try all day long, 7 days a week. Yeah.
And I love your T-shirt, Francesco. So can we get an update on the women's field? Because I'm not sure, but I think then we might be getting close to a finish pretty soon. And I don't want to miss it here. So Courtney's out there. She's still out there on track. We still have Alicia Clark in second place, so American 1 and 2. So you're going to be happy, Walter. Are we looking at a change in third place there? Because
absolutely,
Luisa de Mateus, coming through for third place. I mean, I saw her around the top 5 or 6 earlier on.
Can we scroll down a little bit more, please?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's happened now. We got
look at that, Sophie Grant.
Sophie Grant's coming through.
In top 10.
Great job. And I noticed that Courtney had come through the field, come through the men's field as well. So she was outside the top 20 overall, and she's in around 15th place now. So,
no kidding.
So she's obviously managed her race really well. Francesco was Daniele was saying that he saw her at a hard moment early in the morning, but then as she came through Colgalina coming into the last 23 kilometers, that she was starting to look stronger again. So looks like she's controlling her race really well. So let's scroll up to the profile and just see how how far they have got to the finish, because Courtney for sure will be coming down. Oh yes, she's coming
Very
off
close.
she's coming off the last descent, and then she's going to have the last run, the flat. Well, you say it's flat into town, but the last section is the same as the 50k. I don't remember it being all that flat, because there's a little hill as you come back up into Cortina, isn't it?
You have a few little hills that kind of break the downhill, so you always have to push, and it also changes your cadence and biomechanics, which adds another layer of challenge at the end of the race. Especially if you're trying to run really fast.
And
it was hard.
What about cramping in the last downhill? Is that a thing?
I didn't cramp. I just had a little cramp on the descent to Colgalina, because I had a little fall, and I bent my knee, and I think the reaction from the fall and from getting up was to just feel a little cramp in my quads, but luckily it didn't last very long, and I was able to keep running.
Right.
Hey, look, Francesco, you've been so generous with your time.
Incredibly generous with your time.
And
Thank you so much for yesterday and for today.
Thanks for offering me this platform.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. We love having you here on the radio show. And I think we should definitely do another photo with Francesco today. And you can see the wall is filling up behind us with all of our guests from the show. So we're really lucky to have such amazing guests with us. And of course, we're looking forward to talking with Courtney later on today, as well as Martina Valmasoy, who will be also joining us later on too. So
we're gonna take a quick a pause, and then we'll be back at 1:15 our local time with the arrival of the 120 women's, and then in that next hour we'll be able to talk with Courtney and with Martina Valmasoy, which is also going to be a really nice opportunity for us. But again, thank you so much, Francesco, for being here for us and being so open with us.
See you soon, everybody. Thank you.
Live from the Lavaredo Ultra Trail. This is La Sportiva Radio.
Yes, we're coming back to you live here from Cortina, and Courtney Dauwalter has just crossed across the finish line with that big smile on her face. That was awesome.
Absolutely awesome. So our women's winner is home here in Cortina. She had so much support coming down Corsa Italia. Like, everybody came out, high fives all the way down. We're a little late joining you.
I'm telling you, there's a different kind of roar.
I was out there too.
I was going to say,
conservative, like first time here, and it looks like she really respected the distance and has come through with a absolutely storming run. Not quite a record time though today.
What was her official finish time?
I think we had her just over
14.
Just over 14 hours.
14 hours, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Okay, with a record time
4:44.
Oh wow, that's record time being 13 hours 40 minutes and 34 seconds by Caroline Chevereau from France. Set a few years ago. I was there actually. I think it was about five or 6 years ago that she ran that record. So it just shows you how quick that time that.
Well, and I've heard
Caroline
that she also the record holder. I heard that she had a 3-4 year window of time where she was basically just wrecking every single race that she went to and setting records and.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So this race is definitely on the radar for the world's very best athletes, and I think it's a combination of being in a top race. But also the location. And I think that's definitely something that is bringing a lot of people.
I think that the tradition of trail running in Italy, and then this special magical place that is Cortina, Italy.
In second place. The coming through in third, we've got De Mateus, Louisa, I think it was.
She made a big push in the second half of the race.
Yeah, it looks like she's made a massive move. And then we've mentioned her before from Poland, Carolina
Verkowczak.
Well done. She's really solid there in fourth place.
We love you, Carolina.
Exactly. So it looks like Alicia's come through one of the later checkpoints, with the other two a checkpoint behind her. So let's have a look at the profile. Alicia's well. Oh wow, she's well into the descent.
Spread out, exactly.
Yeah, she's about to hit the lower slopes of the descent, and is coming into the last 3 kilometers. So I've been really impressed with her. I mean, really, I think she kept Courtney honest throughout the race. I think Courtney always knew that she was there.
That you kind of talking about when we were off the scenes, basically, that the real large gap never actually appeared. Alicia was able to stay with her or within contact, shouting distance, but also can kind of help to push, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and so obviously, as we've heard about before, for any race, it kind of helps in a way to know that you listen. Norwegian runner, and she's stepped up the distances over the last few years, and has been going really well in some of these longer races. But she's decided to go for the 80K this time around, and I've watched her run for a while, and she's there in second place in the 80K so far, and the leader looks like Anna Tarasova, if I've got that right.
From Norda team.
Yeah, fantastic. Ingvild's running for Adidas Terex, and we've got Marion Delphre Maufan from France coming through in third at the moment. So They started their race at 7 a.m. And so they've still got a fair distance to go.
The 80K, they started. They get to take the whole heat of the day. If they're lucky.
And in one way, it's probably one of the harder races.
In fact, that start time to me kind of says man, that's a long day in the sun.
Yeah, it does make it tough. Excuse me, and I can see they're coming through. They're around Colgalina. Actually, they'll be running right through Colgalina right now. The lead woman, and it looks like the men are on the high point. So they're up at Passo Giao and heading on through to the finish. And let's give you a rundown on the top three men. We've got Dominic Matt. He's Austrian. He's there in the lead, running for Team Salomon. We've got Drew Holman from the States. And he's in second place. And Noah Williams,
La Sportiva.
Yeah, La Sportiva team, also from the USA. He's really doing well in third, and he's had a big week because he was over in Broken Arrow Sky Race last Saturday. And fourth place finished there in the 46K.
No kidding, man.
Yeah, and looking to make the
quick turnaround.
Yeah, looking to make the US team for the World Mountain and Trail Running Championships.
Great, fantastic. Good luck for him.
Yeah, doing a great job out there today. But that's definitely going to be a race of attrition, I think we can say. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of our leaders change as we go through the day here and watch them come into the last section of the track.
And we're going to keep an eye on that with you guys as we're finishing up the day with you. We'll keep on refreshing that as you guys, I'm sure, are at home and keeping you updated. We're looking forward to hopefully as time allows for her, and if she's feeling well enough, we are going to be taking some time to interview Courtney about her race today, about her preparation and training coming in, kind of get her thoughts hopefully about what it's like coming here into the Loop for the first time. Her impressions of Cortina.
Well, first time in Italy, actually. First time racing here in Italy. That kind of blew me away, actually.
No, in fact, I assumed. I would assume otherwise. That's super cool. We're definitely going to have to ask her about that.
Exactly. So, why haven't you been here?
Exactly. Demand.
That's cool. I got so many questions for Courtney. I'm so looking forward to.
We're really excited about that.
To her. And I think we have a nice video of Courtney coming in live on La Sportiva Radio.
Dai Courtney! Dai Courtney! Ale, brava, dai, bravissima Ale.
Very cool. So the team out there on the trail putting together a video montage of Courtney coming through some of the checkpoints out on the trail. Great to see. First point we saw her come through was Colgalina. That's one of the kind of the key points.
They're one of the most famous names and points on this race for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, they get to be quite iconic, don't they? The names that we hear, Valtravonensis.
Exactly.
that's the key point on the races every time coming up through there. Such a long climb, and as the day goes on, the sun comes over the mountain there and can make it pretty hot.
Take you into that pain cave.
Exactly. Well, we will be asking her about that. Oh, you'll be asking, I know. Yeah, look, it just looked like she was in control in those shots. She knew what she was doing, and I think in these very long distances, keeping everything consistent and trying to just stay as relaxed as you can really helps on these longer races. So, yeah, fantastic to see her. To see her coming here and doing the job.
Kind of exactly a little bit as kind of happened what was expected when talking with just about everybody, talking with yourself, but then if you're out on the street, what were the expectations of what was going to happen? And Courtney went out and kind of delivered exactly what she has for the last like 3 years, you know.
Definitely.
But a super special performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be asking Courtney about some of the things that she's become known for, like that she wears the loose-fitting clothing, and how that helps her performance. You know, going against the trends, and I like that, and it definitely works for her. And sometimes, you know, being a bit more protected with a bit more clothing, but being really, you know, really light as well as kind of loose. You know, that feels good for her.
Absolutely comfortable. And as a child of the 90s, growing up in the 90s, of course, I have to appreciate and respect the long inseam baggy shorts. Bring it on back. Bring the style back. No problem for me.
Absolutely. No, good to see. We won't be too far away from our second place women's finisher, 120K coming in. Alicia Clark. I'm going to look forward to hearing the noise. You cross the river, and then there's just that little hill coming up.
There's that tricky little, it's probably like, 100 meters, 200, but I mean, it's a pretty steep incline for a walking hill coming into town, and I have to imagine that after going through everything, you think you've come down, you've finished, and then there's that last 200 meters that you're going to have to go up in order to get yourself onto Corsa Italia.
Yeah, but Corsa Italia is slightly downhill, and I think maybe they've been kind on every finisher to finish on that slight downhill, because you see everybody has something else left in them at the finish of the race to run down that finishing street. You know, when the people start cheering, and it's just that nice gradient coming down here across the cobblestone streets in the middle of Cortina. Doesn't matter where you are in the pack. Everybody has a bit of a run, a bit of a sprint left.
Oh
in them.
yeah, it's great. It's great watching when they come around that corner and you see like the life comes back into some of those legs that are a little bit dead. They have enough left. But we don't have Courtney just out on the women's race today. Like there's many other participants. Can we take a look at? I think we have another video of our Sophie Grant that she's been out there.
Oh, fantastic to see
racing
where
hard.
she is.
And if I'm not mistaken, she had kind of worked her way up into the top 10, which you know, she's had top 10 finishes here before in the past. But I think especially coming back from that injury with her wrist and working a top 10 finish for her is going to feel super satisfying.
Absolutely, yeah, that's so cool to see her come through and just manage her race. It looks like she's done a really good job.
Professional, exactly. And plus, of course, I'm going to have to, you know, we're going to run across her hopefully, and I got to find out also how George, her husband, is doing on his 120.
That's true, yeah, George is out there, no aid station support for him.
Okay. All right. You run the left, you will find Michelle. Let's go! There.
That's a Mato trail. Like, what a memory, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's little Pietro there. He did the kids race the other day. So yeah, we like to include families and people of all ages just to get involved with running. You know, because it's such an easy sport to do, and you know, the kids. You know, the kids love it. There were so many people out here on the kids race there on Thursday. It was really nice.
You know, there's nothing more natural than running. I mean, you learn to walk, and then you walk so that you can run as a child, you know. And I know you as a parent myself, like you see that when you give the kids the opportunity to just go, they're gonna run, and so you pick up that joy of it at a young age, and then just cultivate it, and we'll grow up a bunch of new generation of trail runners, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. I think the sport's in a good place. I think it's healthy. People love to do it. There are opportunities out there for running.
And I think the people that are in charge, or not in charge maybe, but the adults in the room at the moment are very invested in cultivating that youth and exposing younger people, younger generations to this sport, and getting them, if it's not even running itself, but also just like as we kind of talked about, there's the outdoor activities, be it bicycling, climbing, and obviously running.
Yeah, exactly. No, good to have all ages and all groups involved. And yeah, look, let's recap just again on the men's side.
On the men's
shall we?
side, yeah. If we could go back
let's
and
go through that. And Ben Diemen, what an
amazing
outstanding
race, man! Holy smokes!
New race record. That was just that was a stellar effort. I first became aware of Ben, I think, back in 2022. He came out to Spain in Canfranc and did the long race there. It was about 80 kilometers, but elevation was about 8,000 meters. It was a super serious race. No one really knew who he was, and he was a surprise in the race. But he's certainly not a surprise now. In the last few years, he's got some outstanding results.
One of the things that I kind of find interesting about him is that he comes from Cincinnati, Ohio. And if you've ever been in Cincinnati, Ohio, you'll recognize that there are no mountains around. You pretty much have to cross over the entire Midwest, the Mississippi River, and find yourself over the Rocky Mountains before you're going to see any real mountain peaks. We've had a lot of people in here talking about that their love of the outdoors and their love of the mountains and trail running kind of comes from growing up next to the Matterhorn or growing up in some of these high alpine valleys. But instead, a person like Ben, he took a family trip when he was a child out to Wyoming and remembered that experience of seeing the mountains the first time. Wow. And like at this point, I believe he's relocated over to the Pyrenees and is making a life for himself as a professional trail runner and living here in the Alps. And I think that's fantastic as well. You don't need to be born on the Matterhorn to have a love for those mountains. Those mountains speak to a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. It's not exclusive. It probably helps, but well, we always seem to find runners who are based in the US. A lot of them tend to gravitate to Colorado.
Sure, I mean, because it's a natural environment. That's one of those places where you can find places that you can exit out your back door, your backyard, or your front yard, and you're right there out into the trails and out into nature.
Yeah, that's right. Anton Krupichka, born in Nebraska, but relocated.
Made it way out to Boulder, exactly.
Yeah, and loving life out there for sure. Yeah. And somebody else who's hopefully loving life at the moment in the 80K race, we got Noah Williams, Team La Sportiva.
Oh, look at that. He's moved himself up into second place at this point.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's going really well.
Making a very good push.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's another one, I think, based out in Colorado. So I think we've got a video clip we can jump into now. And,
oh, yeah, let's take a look at that for sure.
See how he's doing.
Come on, Naha! Good job! Good job, man. Do you want ice?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Very good. So
heard that American accent coming in there. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. Look,
give me some ice.
And big shout out to Nicola Giovanelli doing the last clip there. Not only working for us, showing us the action, but aid station support at the same time. One hand on the camera and the other hand on the ice.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Working hard for us.
Yeah. So Noah looking great, really fast actually, going through aid station in Colgalina, and then where Nicola was working up on Paso Jau. Interesting. Immediately, the first thing Nicola says, "Do you want ice?" That's pretty telling, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But I mean, if you're able to look out there and see the sun is streaming down unabated at this time, and it's just going to get warmer as it goes. And then, obviously, not to play into stereotypes, but Americans do like ice.
Exactly. And your drink's all ice and no drink. So the runners, he's
in your head area where you're the most heat's escaping out of your body.
Trying to get it to the areas. I mean, if it's on your neck, you have these ice collars, and then the water kind of slowly drips down as well.
Right.
Ideally, you want to try and keep your core as cool as possible. So the front part of your body, and we even have I've used in the past as well, ice cooling vests, which you can use like before a very hot race. So if you know the race is going to be very hot and you're going to be starting in hot conditions, then you can use that. Not so much in ultra trail running, because starts tend to be early in the morning.
Okay.
So not usually
It's
necessary
not going to be
there.
super useful in the dark nights.
Yeah, but if a runner wanted to recover much faster, using cooling vests would definitely be a thing there. Now, I think we've heard a bit of a noise outside the studio here. What's been happening? I think we have our women's second place finisher come in, Alicia Clark, waving to the crowd, high-fiving, coming into the finish now, and the gap back. I'm going to say
She came in at 14 hours and 43 minutes.
so 40 minutes.
Exactly. Like, and again, like, she ran a fantastic race. Last year it was who's the winner from last year?
We had Rosanna Buchauer.
Buchauer. And what did she win the race in?
Oh, good question. She won the race
She
in
won in
14 hours
14:09.
and 9 minutes. So she was slightly faster than Courtney was out there. So.
But I think what we'll do right now is we're kind of getting ready to set up our next interview. We'll take a little bit of a pause at 2 o'clock. We'll take a pause, and then we're going to come back and we'll be on Instagram Live, and we'll still be on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, La Sportiva YouTube, La Spogram. Come and find us there, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
All right, all right, all right. We are back.
Welcome back, everybody, and boy, have we got someone special to visit us today. That's really what a fantastic race out there, Courtney. You were really, really, really smooth, and I mean, from here, it looked like you were always in control. Would that be a correct assessment, or it never is as easy as it looks? I'm sure.
No, this one was particularly difficult. I was struggling a lot out there. I think it was really humid feeling just for probably where I live, and like I didn't prepare for that sort of temperature. And then the daytime felt like we were just climbing in the mountains a lot, which I love, but it was like relentless. So I was very happy to get back here to Cortina to see that finish line and to sit down.
Yeah, well, that's right. Because you're really from a really dry environment in Colorado, and yet coming here, I mean, even for us, it's a surprise to feel it as humid as it is today.
It has been particularly humid the last couple of weeks here in northern Italy, like in general. But then, as you were kind of noting, it's also extremely green here in these mountains. You can kind of see sometimes the humidity coming up off of the small little lakes and rivers and just the forests here.
It's so beautiful here. I couldn't believe it. If I wasn't going to trip and die because I was tripping, I would have looked at more scenery, but I was definitely trying to, on any of the hiking sections, just like take in the surroundings, because I was blown away by the sights in every direction. You could spin any way, and it was so cool looking.
And your first time racing in Italy, we hear as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great to have you here. Great to have you choose Lavaredo Ultra Trail as your first Italian race.
It was the right choice to make, for sure.
I feel like it was the right choice. The people out cheering on course, the trails, the volunteers out there, just everyone showed up and put on, the best event. So it was really cool to be here.
And is there going to be a gelato in your recovery plans?
Oh, man, a lot of gelato, a lot of pizza, and then definitely some spritzes.
Sounds great.
It'll match your shirt, you know.
Now I'm gonna call you out here because I heard you were double booked for this weekend because you were supposed to be not here. You were supposed to be supporting Caitlin Fielder in her ambition over at Western States.
Oh man, I wish I was there supporting her, but yeah, you can't time travel, I guess, yet. But we talked about me like finishing and passing this like imaginary baton to her, because in California they'll be starting I think any minute now. So it was kind of cool to like be able to do my race, and now they'll kick off Western States and we can all tune in and watch that one too.
I love that. Yeah, with the time zones we can literally do that. We can
a double header.
We can 24-hour or no more than like 48-hour.
No kidding.
48-hour ultra trail kind of what do you call it? Ultra trail help me here, Walter.
Double time?
Double
time.
Header. Yeah, exactly.
Back to back?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, when you go and watch 3 movies in a row.
Double feature. Double feature, I think, is the English language idiom that we were looking for.
Exactly.
There.
Watch Lord of the Rings 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Now, looking at what you've been doing. I mean, last year. I mean, that was just absolutely something incredible to win Hard Rock, to win Western States in such an amazingly fast time, and then to back it up with UTMB. Did you kind of, coming into this year, did you want to kind of step it back or just kind of relax a little bit, or you want to keep pushing the boundaries with your racing program?
I mean, I love pushing boundaries, so I definitely am hoping to always put myself in situations where I get to visit the pain cave and I get to do some solid work in there. But I also love to just try new races and see new places, meet new communities, and so kind of following where my heart goes and like where I feel passionate at the start of a year about going to race there is the way we build a schedule. So
you don't feel you have to go back to the same races all the time. You want to keep it fresh, and I love how you say, visit the people and visit new places. I think that's so, that's inspiring and it's motivating at the same time. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so cool, and I think it's one of the coolest parts of these races we do is that our feet can take us out there where no one else can get to unless they're using their feet also. And to do that in new parts of the world always feels really special.
Absolutely. Now you should jump in here, Walter, because we talked about it's kind of been a theme over the last 2 days, kind of the mental aspect and how that's becoming more, I guess, more recognized as in its importance in both preparation and actually what goes on during race day as well. And so Courtney's here talked about the pain cave, and we know that's...
In fact, she brought up my favorite phrase that I've heard all week in the pain cave. And kind of, I was just kind of curious. You're talking about how beautiful it was out there today, and how lovely the terrain is, and the people and the supporters. But I have also heard before that from different runners, basically, that in almost every single race there comes a point where a body wants to quit. Was there any point like that for you today where you're thinking to yourself, maybe this just isn't the day? And when you start to get some of those feelings, do you use your self-talk? Do you have mantras that you'll go to try and basically dig yourself out of that cave, or even deeper? I mean, sometimes you have to go deeper in order to come out the other side.
Yeah, there were definitely really tough moments out there today and last night that I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get to that finish line this time. But I do, when those things happen, always use self-talk and mantras, and I just put something positive on repeat, like, you're fine, this is fine, or this is what you came for, this is what you signed up for.
We just had Francesco say exactly the same thing. We chose to be here.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I think I've learned over the years that making the pain cave more of a party than a place we are scared of and want to avoid is the way to go, because it's so lucky to get those opportunities to go to the pain cave. Like, we sitting here can't go there if we want, we can't just summon it. And so to sign up for these races where you do suffer a little bit, but then to reach that opening of the pain cave, it feels like we got to take advantage of this, because how many times in our lives will we get to choose to go to this place again?
The pain cave opens and the party starts.
Yeah.
But do you? I mean, in your experience, has there ever been the time when you're kind of in there and you're thinking, when is it? When am I going to see the light? Do you ever have any doubts, or you just don't focus on that, and it's all about the process rather than the kind of the end result of it?
Yeah, I don't focus on getting out of it. Once I'm in it, I'm like, buckle up, because we're in it now. And I think staying then very present with your feet, with that moment, is my best way to deal with that. If I think ahead of wow, I'm at mile 12 out of 75. Sorry, it's not kilometers.
Yeah, no.
But you're with me.
That's a long way to go.
I'm more than happy to hear some American Standard measurements.
So I think when you get in there, you just have to grab a chisel and be right with your feet. And if you roller coaster, because ultras have roller coasters of high moments and low moments. Maybe you roller coaster out of there for a while and you're just floating on the trails again. That's just a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And something that I've known about you, sort of keeping it simple, don't overcomplicate things, and how much does kind of routine kind of play a part? Keeping it simple, bringing it back to the, just the basics. Is that a big part of it? Also, what you do in racing as well. I know in training it's an approach as well.
Yeah, I think it's running, and it should be fun, and it should be pretty simple. It gets less simple the longer you're going, but it should be something that feels free and fun. Throw on some shoes and just go explore, and then you're a runner.
Yeah. What about some special routines that you do during the race? Some things that maybe other people might not do. Is there anything that you do when you come into an aid station that you might think that you just might do because it helps you?
Kevin is my crew. Kevin's my husband, and he's my main crew person at as many races as we can go at together. It's just more fun to do together.
Right.
But we have a routine that I don't know if it's unique or different at all, but it always starts with when I get to the aid station, just some hand wipes, because I feel like a lot of things happen on the trail, but also just having clean hands for a moment feels so good. And like a clean face, and you're like, oh, I'm a human, actually. Okay.
Well, I've also heard you take a toothbrush sometimes. Is that right?
Yeah. I do a little toothbrush or some eye drops, always some lip balm. You know, got to take care of yourself.
Self-care, exactly.
Self-care.
So taking that extra time, it might be, I've got to get in and out as fast as possible. I don't want to lose time. But so that taking that extra time benefits you further into the race, because you feel
100%. Yeah, it just feels rejuvenating. And while I'm doing those things, Kevin can, switch bottles or a battery or whatever. Like, it's a multitasking process.
Yeah, so
sure.
you're not even losing time at that point. So big shout out to Kevin because
Way to go,
logistical support. Logistical support makes the world go round.
Yeah, and we've talked about a lot how it's when you come to these longer races, how there for every runner there is some kind of support behind that. Even our friend George out there, who's he's already told us he's on his own. So George is he would normally be supporting Sophie Grant. So Sophie Grant's in the top 10 as we speak, and we interviewed both of them here.
And George is her usual support out on the trail, but this year he's trying the 120 for the first time on his own, and so we were joking with him and wondering who was going to be out there supporting him this time and how that was going to go for him.
I love it. Well, luckily the aid stations here were perfect, so he'll
Wonderful.
have plenty of new friends by the end of it.
Wonderful, no doubt.
Exactly, and it is, we hear that a lot. Once the people that are around you, they're all there supporting you. If you're having a bad moment, a hand on the back saying, come on, you can do it.
Yeah, and then a small nudge out.
Maybe a push up the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How about coming to a new place? This is the first time that you've come to Cortina to race. Does that change up your the routine that you have before coming into a race? Do you make a plan for that beforehand because it's unknown, or do you have a general kind of tapering training schedule coming into any sort of race that you're going to participate in, and it doesn't really matter where you go, you try and stick with that?
Yeah, I'm not much of a planner, so
Okay.
so
Seems to be working for you, so I'm not going to argue.
So I don't have a set taper schedule that I always follow. It
Okay.
also depends on what the race is, when it falls, what's the goals at that race.
For example, coming here, did you come here from Colorado?
Came here
directly?
from Colorado, yeah.
How soon before the race will you get here to Italy and try and get yourself on the time zone, or does that kind of also have to do with your commitments?
Yeah, it has to do with a lot of life things. So we didn't arrive here until Monday night.
Okay.
But now that we've been here, we're okay, we are coming back for sure.
Great to hear. And famously, you are self-coached, and your approach is more a day by day, based on how you feel on the day, and then you kind of adjust to that. And I think that takes a lot of self-confidence to do that, and to know that not to feel the pressure well, today I really should be doing more miles because I have another big project coming up, and having the confidence to say, okay, today I'm maybe not feeling so flash, and just to know to listen to your body. And I think that's something that every runner should really take note of. So just maybe explain about that approach.
So I grew up running cross country and track in middle school and high school. So I had running coaches then, and got to learn kind of the types of workouts people do, or how you might structure a week or a month to lead to peaking at the right time. I have this, Rolodex from those coaches of just they were amazing, and just by being one of their athletes, I learned so much. And then when I started doing ultras, I just found it to be a fun puzzle piece to play with myself. I am going to trial and error this thing. I'll fail a bunch of times. I'll do the wrong thing, or I won't read the signals that my body's giving me correctly. but then I get to, learn from that and jiggle the puzzle piece around a little bit differently. So it's just a fun part of the game for me. I think there's some amazing coaches in the ultra running world, but it's part of the allure, I guess, of just the figuring it out part.
Yeah, I love how you say it's a part of the puzzle, isn't it? And preparing and being, and running an ultra, you've got to put all those pieces together. Whether it's the fitness side of it, whether it's the mental side of it, whether it's the nutrition side of it, and material and what you're wearing on your feet. It's we say it's very simple, Walter, but is it really? Does it sound to you very simple?
It's just running. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's simple.
well, Courtney runs for Team Salomon, and I'd like to hear a little bit more just about your line, your shortening line, and also your approach to both footwear as well as what you're wearing.
Yeah, I'm part of the Salomon team, which is really fun. Great group of humans, but also great gear. And we have a shortening line out where people can buy the long shorts that I raced in today, and this T-shirt. Just more options, I think, is what I was hoping to provide for the running space of different length shorts.
Amazing, an amazing thought to have that there are different length shorts out there in the world.
Yeah, and I think running is way more fun when you're comfortable. So if these are the length shorts that make you comfortable, like myself, then they're available now, and that's cool.
I think it's awesome. I grew up in the 1990s with Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was changed the whole entire game of the length of shorts in athletics in America, as I remember.
Yeah.
Everybody started going with the longer baggy shorts, and so if you want to bring back the 90s and get everybody wearing baggy shorts again, it is fine by me.
And maybe just tell us about you being a professional athlete. And I mean, is it possible for ultra trail runners now to be professional runners and just focus on sport? Is that something that you thought would be possible when you first started?
When I first started, I didn't think it would be possible, but I wanted to go all in on running and just see what we could do with that time and with those years and races. So, but I wasn't thinking it will be possible to make a living doing this. The sport has grown a ton, though, in the last 5 years. I don't know the exact timeline, but now it's very common for athletes to be able to make livings in the sport, and more brands are getting involved, and it's a pretty cool time to be in the sport, to see that growth.
Absolutely, and I think you and Walter have something in common, as far as I know. You're both teachers, I believe.
You're a teacher as well.
Yeah, I was a teacher.
Oh, fantastic. What subject did you teach?
I taught science.
Oh, really? I was in the United States. I was a middle school math teacher, and then here I'm an English teacher.
Oh,
During
nice.
the day. Yeah.
Are you on summer break now?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
The kids took their final exams, and summer vacation in Italy has started, and summer in Italy is a magical time. If you listen to the radio enough, you realize that they every year just write songs about the sun, and it is wonderful. But if you stay here long enough, you understand why.
Yeah. I'm starting to get a taste of it.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
And so maybe you could tell us about your future plans as well for the
Yes, please.
season coming up, and sort of what's, we might have an exclusive here, Walter.
My only other race I'm currently signed up for is UTMB at the end of August. So.
Okay, you're coming back.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what about the aspirations for UTMB then this year? Is it different from last year? Because last year, kind of coming off the back of those two, other iconic races, Western States and then Hard Rock, will your kind of the way you approach this year's UTMB, will that change?
I hope so, because I really just survived UTMB the last time.
Last time, sorry, yes.
I don't know. My legs were dead by the time I got halfway through UTMB, and so I would love to have an experience where I can do the whole loop and have it feel, as strong as 100 miles can feel in the mountains. So we'll see.
Yeah, great. Good luck for that.
Thank you.
Of course, we'll have Ruth Croft running UTMB this year. So
Yeah, I'm so psyched about that. That's so cool. I hope I'll be able to share some miles with her.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I think, Courtney, you just came off running 120K, and you've been super generous with your time with us, coming in and visiting with us and talking with us. I think, do we have any final questions?
Well, I think we should probably let Courtney go. It's not easy, when you've been moving for that amount of time, and then you have to come in here and sit down completely still, and then the
Here's
legs,
some air conditioning.
The legs will be starting to tell you, starting to go back into the pain cave.
Yeah.
Probably, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees I'm getting back up off of this seat, so I might just be like a side prop for the rest
of the show. There we go.
Well, we'd love to. We'd love
put
to.
a
You
lamp
could
shade
do worse.
on
You
my
could do
head.
worse than that kind of side prop, you know.
We'd love to have you, but we would ask you to do one more thing for us. So as we go off here, we'd love to have a photo with
We've
you.
been taking Polaroids with all of our guests.
Cool.
So if you could get a photo with you as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be an honor.
Every guest features on our wall. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. This is a very cool setup you have here.
Cool, and what a
Did a good
fantastic
job with
run
it.
today. Congrats.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Thank you.
I was saying last year all the time.